Okay, now you have the prerequisite information and understanding to start to apply this directly to your brand. So, we're going to start with the voice and the words that you use. And your brand voice is an extension of your brand attributes, which is your personality, same difference. So, make sure that you've done that exercise first and then extend it into the way that you're going to sound as a brand. And when I say use sound, this is with any communication that you're doing. So, when you speak at events, when you speak in one-on-one with people, when you write, everything that communicates with people should have a very specific flavor. Like, you should sound like you. Sage brands perhaps have the hardest time with this because we do want to maintain like facts and objectivity, but we don't want your content to be generic. We want it to sound like your brand. So you're going to want to sound, or here's some of the ways that it presents for the Sage brands that I've studied. You want to sound decisive, authoritative, intelligent, researched, logical, thoughtful. Figure out which of these words mean the most to you that you want to use as your own personal filter for your writing and your messages. And now we can continue this thought process and dive into like phrases that would a sage archetype would say, or I've heard say something like, a penny saved is a penny earned, you can't judge a book by its cover, crack the code, make a case for something, talk some sense into somebody, no surprises, and then know and understand. And what's fun is if you can start to pay attention to your own language, the figures of speech that you use, that's a great source of inspiration to start creating this highly customized and unique brand language that adds personality into your brand and makes you feel relatable and human and interesting, because you're going to come across the way that somebody would experience you in person. You can even think about your title being something that is very technical. It speaks to your expertise or the fact that you have been certified. Things like mentor, principal, scientist, expert, judge. It also works for you just to be literal about your title. Cutesy titles don't generally work well for our archetype. Also, think about your call to action. So instead of just saying join my newsletter, you want to give people little clues with every touch point that they come into contact with your brand. So from the phrases that you use to the thing that you call yourself as the founder or the entrepreneur, to how you invite people to play or buy from you. You could use words like step into the light, fill the position, hire, accredit, work with, sign for, learn, reveal the truth, unlock your genius. These types of things are like breadcrumbs. They are layers of understanding to help people have a clear understanding of who you are at your core and what you stand for. By itself, it might be insignificant. This is just one decision, like changing the way that you invite people to sign up for your newsletter list. But cumulative over all of the other decisions that you're making for your brand, it starts to make a really, really big difference. Like I said in the beginning, our goal is to bring everything into alignment. So this is just one more step of doing that. Also think about your product names, and this could be for your newsletter list, for your services or your products, or like an event, your Facebook group. All of those things should have a branded name, and you're going to want to use words like method, library, panel, fundamentals, algorithm, assessment, curriculum, etc., etc. These things are especially on brand for you, and feel free to also hit up the thesaurus to find even more ideas of synonyms and related ideas that are on brand for the Sage archetype. Thankfully, since the Sage archetype is kind of literal, we have, and it's based on like school and education, this idea of learning the truth, we have a ton of ideas here. And then the other part of it is because since I'm a Sage archetype mixed with magician again, I've spent a lot of time thinking and brainstorming all of these different things. So even if somebody else might create a blueprint because they like the word and it's trendy and they've seen other people use it. You can use it with certainty and conviction because you know that you're alluding to a very technical field that requires blueprints to build things with precision. So you know that you're using a word that has the emotional impact and the meaning that you want it to have. Lastly, let's take a look at some headlines. Instead of just saying something like, or let's do something off-brand. Let's say, if you're a career coach, instead of having the headline say, follow your heart to a job that you love, you could instead reposition it using your sage archetype as inspiration to say how to measure your job satisfaction in an objective way. We'll just layer on the rationale, right, in the data. So if you want to, you can pause this slide and work through some of these headline plug-and plays, or you can even refer to the PDF that's at the end of this course to do the same thing. And then also refer to the guidebook. There's some brainstorming sections in there to work through like the phrases and your title, your naming. And the work that you do there pays dividends because when you come up with this unique brand language that's specific to you and your brand specifically, like it is yours, it is ownable. You can even trademark some of these phrases if they haven't been trademarked by other people. People start to recognize you through your messages, through your brand voice. Just really, really powerful.